Right, everyone, welcome to this afternoon's seminar. As we negotiate the road through recovery, obviously the topic on everyone's mind at the moment is, where to from here post COVID-19. And today we'll sort of cover it, some of the things, that I think become a little bit more important than ever before. Right, so let's get this underway. Just give me one moment. I'm just going to open my presentation here. Right, so just a little housekeeping to start off with. We do ask from you that you sort of get yourself muted. We'll have be open for comments and questions in the chat feature in the Zoom here. We'll have time towards the end where we would love to hear some questions from you, and we'll answer those as we go. Do close any tabs on your web browser that you don't need right now. We will share a recording of the seminar probably sometime going out early next week as well. I'll have my contact details also at the end if you wish to reach out to me directly. All right. So a little bit about ourselves. So my name is Romeo. I'm the Business Development Manager here at STAAH New Zealand. So we're Auckland. We're Auckland based. I'm Auckland based as well. Obviously now with having COVID had come along, we're doing a little bit less travel. However, technology allows us to really reach out to you and still be in touch with you and communicate with you and bring you information that can be quite helpful during this time. I'll let you introduce yourself as well, Roger.
Hi, I'm Roger from the Callista Group.
Yep. And Ali?
I am Ali from RefTrack.
Awesome. Right. So I'll have a little bit about STAAH, and then we'll have Ali come in and talk a little bit about things you can be doing throughout recovery. And then we'll have Roger take it on with your in-house technology and how that can work for you, going forward. Right. So a little bit about STAAH. We've been around since 2008. We got started by a guy called Gavin Jaddo. He started in his garage here in the North Shore, and we've become preferred partners with Airbnb. We've also now got a new connection now with HomeAway, which has just come live. We're an innovative supplier with Agoda, but we're also a Booking.com premier partner, which has now been ongoing, I think, for several years now. And we now cater to more than 10,000 properties globally, with about 90 plus countries, but our roots are still here in New Zealand, and we still, want to support local accommodation providers here in New Zealand, and that's our main game. Just to sort of touch base on a couple of things that we're going to look at today, but here's an overview of obviously of all the products that we offer, which we like to call the STAAH ecosystem. So we have, if I just move my focus over here, so we do have our channel manager. So that has features like stop sell limits, dynamic rates, along with other features that are really key for an accommodation provider. But the two subjects we're going to look at today is direct bookings through the STAAH booking engine, and we're going to explore gift vouchers through our gift voucher engine, and why we believe there is a big market now for this one here. Okay. However, we do have products. We're going to look at some reviews as well, and how reviews are really more important than ever before, especially growing that direct relationship with your customers. And we're also going to look at this bit here, which is a conversion booster, basically, that can drive more bookings to your property's website and engage more with your direct bookers. Right. So navigating the road through recovery. As you can see, there's a long road ahead of us. And just to let you all know, you're not in it by yourselves. We are there to help you through that road as well. All right, so looking at some of the things that have changed. So, before COVID-19, properties were full, all the rooms are filled most of your nights. We had busy airports, people traveling overseas, people, coming in, going out of the country. And we probably saw a lot more no vacancy signs around. What's changed post-COVID-19? We've ended up with a closed border, with no international travellers either booking through OTAs or wholesalers, especially wholesalers that, especially this time of year, would be, quite a bit of that bread and butter. Your domestic corporates have probably reduced numbers, a lot of them using, video conferencing technologies if they don't have to be in that place physically. We're more reliant on domestic travellers. We have high demand periods being reduced mostly now weekends and school holidays, where we see properties to be busy. And we're seeing less bookings from the OTAs. I guess that's also driven with, buy local, stay local, and so on. So looking at how we can leverage some of these new opportunities that we're presented with in this changed environment. So first of all is direct bookings, okay? So these can gradually save you a lot of money paid to the OTAs in commission, okay? So, if you do some of the numbers, if you get 3 OTAs, you get a lot of commission going back to them. New market segments, as I mentioned, so that's your domestic travellers, but there could also be, other travellers, that might now travel that never travelled before. The power of EDMs, so that's, marketing going out, email newsletters and things like that. Building a direct relationship with your guest, okay? So by building a direct relationship with your guest means you have the ability to, build up that confidence for them to come back to you and always book with you direct. And maintaining brand identity. So that's really important. You are a brand, that's who you are presenting. And, if you are Motel A, you want to present yourself that you are Motel A because that is your brand. Gift vouchers. So this is we're all aware of, what gift vouchers are. We do see a lot of options out there. Now, the really good thing is a user will buy it now, but use later, or even better, they never actually use it. It's a contactless purchase. It's a customer-focused interface. It builds customer loyalty and creates alternative sources of cash flow, which I think is on everyone's minds right now. Looking at a booking engine. So an optimized booking engine, I think, has become more important than ever before. It's all about making sure that the customer or the booker on your website has a flawless experience when they are booking their accommodation. So some of the things that we've really focused on is smart pricing. So this basically gives you an opportunity here, if you can see this little flag here. So it allows a booker to see a discount that you might have applied. In this case here, it's an early booking discount, okay? You also have the option of maybe showing a multi-night discount. However, what we're seeing is 70% of bookings now are booked on mobile. So you also have the opportunity to mimic deals done by the OTAs on your own booking engine. For example, some of the OTAs might put on their member deals at odd hours of the day. So you want to make sure that your website and your own booking engine is optimized to take advantage of that as well. Now, smart pricing has the ability to do that. And obviously, it's important to have a booking engine that's matching your brand as well, right? So you want to make sure that that whole experience of the booker is the same from the website to the booking process. Now, the other thing that's become really important is to know where your guests are coming from. So we want to know now who's booking what and when. Okay. Now we have the ability to provide properties with sophisticated reporting, so that allows you to go in and actually see where your customers are booking from, what are they booking, what dates are they looking at, and are they converting. You're also able to track your engagement as well across different devices and location. So that's again really important, emphasizing on smart pricing, telling you information like how many people are actually booking through a mobile device, for example. In-depth reporting into channel market share as well. So that allows you to see, how much direct bookings are you getting? Now, for a lot of our properties, we actually see that their second largest booking source is actually direct. So they would most of them would have, say, booking.com in the first place, and in the second place they'd actually have their own booking engine. And that is because it is a flawless experience for the booker. However, also for you at the property level, you're able to see a lot of the data. So it gives you a lot of information of what you can be doing, deals you want to be doing, and sales you might want to do to attract more of that direct booking. Now, the right price or value. So we have a little widget that can be placed on properties' websites, as well as your booking engine, whereby, as you can see here, we can see in this one here, for example, it's cheaper to book direct than it is with an OTA. So I do get asked this question quite a lot. This widget can sit on top of a website. It is not visible to the OTAs. However, a lot of properties, what they will do is they will do exactly the same discount as your OTAs might do for their members, which generally is 10%. This widget can then basically tell a booker, if you book with me direct, it's 10% cheaper than if you are booking, let's say, the public rate on booking.com. Now, if they are a member of the Genius or the Expedia member product, for example, they have the ability to, to see, hey, it's 10%, I might as well book direct. Alternatively, we do have also the option, instead of lowering your price, you can also do value add. Now, that's something that a booker nowadays responds to really well. Where I guess we're all kind of drawn into seeing great deals, hey, it's a good deal, I might get a free breakfast or a free bottle of wine. That freebie will also drive me to book direct. Another really vital importance, I think, to really drive your direct bookings is sharing your reputation and showing your potential guests why they should stay with you, but also why they should be engaged on your website and actually continue to book direct with you, is reviews. Okay, so having the option to manage and reply to your guest reviews from one central dashboard makes it really easy. Sharing your guest sentiment with future bookers, being able to go to a website and see, hey, I see those reviews there are really good, and it actually avoids those bookers to go back onto a third-party site for reviews, ending up booking back on an OTA where you then actually end up paying commission for that booker. So last but not least, I like to bring the attention to gift vouchers. So gift vouchers are quite a new thing, I believe, in terms of how they can help properties now with, some alternative cash flows. So it's an expanding market segment, which is due to be worth about $19.2 trillion in just 7 years' time. 18 to 25% of vouchers that are purchased go absolutely unused. Okay, so that means you could sell a voucher to someone today. They get it in their email, they forget about it. 2 years down the track, they realize they had it, and they realize it's expired. Most people won't actually action on that. It creates creating cash flow from vouchers sold to be used at a later date is really the key here. You have the ability to share your vouchers via social media channels. So again, that's you could do a voucher and you can have it out on your Facebook page, on your Twitter page, and say, hey, come and buy this voucher for accommodation. If you're able to package it up as well, that's really successful. You can create exclusive deals and packages with various terms and conditions. So again, you're in complete control of what your vouchers are going to be, what your terms and conditions are, whether the validity is 6 months, whether it's 12 months, whether it's 18 months, you're in complete control of that. You remove the need of creating manual vouchers. So I'm sure some of you have had people call up and say, hey, I want to buy a voucher. You know, you've had to go away and go and create a manual voucher somehow in, you know, Word or PowerPoint to send out to them. So, you could become the next STAAH success story. Now, as you can see, we do work with quite a number of properties right throughout New Zealand. As you can see, probably up there in Bay of Islands, we have worked with Dexify here for a number of years. Posh down in Oamaru, very, very cool little property that's been very successful. And I'm very sure you're all familiar with the Art Deco, Masonic and Napier as well. So as you can see, there's a couple of snapshots of properties that we work with. And you could be the next success story for us. So I'd like to hand over to Ali from RefTrack. And he will just shortly start sharing his screen with you and take you through where to from here in terms of operations and so on. Over to you, Ali.
Thank you. So just pulling up my screen. Okay, so guys, I am Ali. I'm the founder of RefTrack. I started this company about 2.5 years ago. My background is hotels for about 20 years, and I have worked with some big brands for the likes of Echo, the Ridges Hotels, the IHG, and then so on. And I've managed hotels. Portfolios of up to 24 properties or about $80 million turnover. So a couple of years ago, I founded the company basically just to assist independent hotels and motels in terms of various aspects of the lodging businesses. So I assist basically hotels with revenue and yield distribution management, just to enhance their distribution systems to make sure that they are actually making some good money. I also project manage new hotel and motel openings, and also work with renovation projects and so on. And right now I'm actually getting involved quite a bit with some investors which are around who are looking to purchase some of the properties which are coming out in the market. So I'm assisting quite a few of those kind of clients. And I'm also the representative of the system based out of Australia called Self Check-in Kiosk. The company is called Check-in Systems, which is an amazing product, and it actually assist customers to be able to check into the properties without having the reception staff on or in the after hours, especially in the current time that this product is actually working quite well or fills the need for the demand. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the current situation of the market, where the market is from the analytics perspective, and where do we see this market heading. From the trends perspective, this graph, what you can see on the screen is basically, it's the full occupancy of New Zealand as a market for all the hotels and motels who participate on the Tourism Industry Association network. So you could see that I have actually started this from February 2019. And you could see that how the occupancies were actually floating really well up until this point, which was our February. If you do the average across this period from February 2019 to March 2020, average occupancy for New Zealand was about 81%. And with the unfortunate impact of COVID-19, we had our first dip was in March, where occupancy dropped from 87 to 56. And by April, as we went into the lockdown, it dropped down to 5%. From this point onwards, it has started to slowly recover. And as you could see that we are currently entering into the July. And July, I believe, will perform better than how June performed. June was only 15% in the marketplace in terms of the total number of rooms available in the entire lodging industry, and where it takes from there. Now, from this point onwards, from about July onwards, I have actually applied a forecast, and I've worked with a bunch of people on this who are the revenue management experts. We looked at a lot of international statistics in terms of the arrivals from different parts of the world. For example, Southeast Asia, where we are seeing that the virus is getting a bit more under control. China, we looked at that as a separate region. We looked at Europe and Middle East as one region, and also, and obviously Americas as a separate region. Now, what's going on in the rest of the world, especially from the Europe and Americas perspective, we don't expect those markets to be coming back anytime soon, as anyone could guess. However, there are opportunities out there as the virus hopefully will get contained in the Southeast Asia region for the likes of Taiwan, Korea, and Singapore, and some of these locations that we expect to see some traction coming out of these regions. And of course, Australia, that the government is already talking about that, you know, if there are any possibilities of expanding our bubble with the South Pacific for the likes of Australia and so on. So with our forecast here, we expect to see travels from Australia opening from about August or September. And that's where we'll see that the market occupancy will start going up. Australia being the major supplier of tourists and the travelers into New Zealand, just remember one thing, that most Australians who are willing to travel, they will not be able to go elsewhere or any other part of the world, at least for until the end of this year. So New Zealand proposed a very good opportunity from that perspective, that if we are able to expand the bubble, a lot of Australians would head this way who may have thought about coming to New Zealand for a long time, but maybe they ended up in Europe or America or Eastern Europe or Asia. So New Zealand posed a very good proposition from that perspective. So I believe that by the time we come into our summer, by October or November, this market will actually retract back to about 50 to 55%. So 54% is my forecast on there. Now, from that point onwards, as we enter into January, and this is a big unknown at this stage, that what would go on in China. China has got a Chinese New Year in early February next year. And if China has got the virus control, hopefully, then there is a possibility that the Chinese would start traveling from about early next year, possibly January, because that's around the big holiday time over there. In saying all of this, these are based on a lot of assumptions, and obviously whether we can get the virus contained and controlled in different parts of the world. However, looking at some of our bigger markets, for example, the Americans and the Europeans, we don't see those markets returning back at least for 2 years, or possibly could be longer. Mainly from the economic reasons that their economies are very badly damaged. And by the time that even if the virus is contained, it will take them another 12 months to financially recover. And once they have the disposable income, then they will start making the travel. So from the international market perspective, obviously things are not looking that great. However, we have a big opportunity here from the domestic market. Domestic market, obviously with some of the initiatives even being applied by the government, or what we are doing as a lodging industry altogether to attract our local travelers, so domestic travelers, for example, up north. Auckland is a great feeder market that feeds into that. Same with the other drivable locations, for example, Taupo, the Mount Maunganui, Taupo, and so on. So those markets are actually doing better than so many other markets who doesn't have any feeder. For example, Queenstown is a classic example. Queenstown is not quite a drivable distance from anywhere. I mean, like, it takes a long drive either from Dunedin or Christchurch to be able to get to Queenstown. However, Hanmer Springs seems to be doing better because it feeds off Christchurch. So anyone who is within the reach of any major destination such as Auckland, and people can drive to your destination, there are opportunities there to be able to capture the domestic traveler. Now, there has been some statistics that has come out recently from STAAH Global. STAAH Global is an international company who collects mainly hotels data from all across the world, and they produce these statistics on daily, weekly, and monthly basis. And as you could see here, you could see Australia, New Zealand, and Fiji. So New Zealand being the black line, you could see that New Zealand is actually doing better than Australian domestic market, and as well as Fijian domestic market. I mean, the Fijian domestic market is actually very low, but New Zealand is almost, you could see some spikes around here, which is reaching over 50%, and they are all weekends. So that is a clear indication that people are willing to travel, people are willing to get out. You as a lodging operator have to make sure that you are out there and you are doing everything possible you can to attract those customers or convert those customers into your property, because I mean, as you know, that people do shop around these days. They look at least more than 10 properties before they make their decision where they're going to stay. So it is very important that you are actually on top of it and really understanding the customer needs and then working around that. STAAH dissected the data a little bit more between Auckland and Wellington, because that's where most properties have been submitting the data, and you are seeing very similar trends. You could see where, for example, Auckland spikes, the Wellington is spiking as well, and it's the same trend, I mean, is being applied to all other regions as well. So even if you are in a smaller town or a smaller region, you could almost follow very similar trend there. And I'm sure that you're already experiencing that in your properties, which is happening right now. So how can revenue management help in all of these situations? There is demand. It's not as much as what it was used to be. There's a limited demand, so size of the pie is smaller. But how can you make sure that you actually get a good share out of that smaller size of pie? So from that perspective, I mean, like, I'll start with the revenue management. I mean, revenue management is from the commercial terminology perspective, it's nothing too complicated. It's pretty straightforward. It's selling the right product at the right time, at the right price to the right client. And it did evolve a little bit over time, that when the analytics got involved a little bit more. For example, some of the things that Romeo was just showing, and then in terms of the smart data that you're saying on the price parity, and where customers are coming from, what are the consumer behaviors, how many websites do they actually go to before making their decision to make a booking. Even if they are looking at your property, they may also look at booking.com, Expedia, and your own website. How can you actually work around their consumer behavior and then try to convert all of those people into your property and make them stop looking elsewhere, basically is the ultimate key that what you are aiming to achieve. Starfleet Research is an international company which did a pretty massive research at the end of last year, which had, I think, nearly about 3,000 participants globally from different parts of the world. And then they looked at the survey in terms of that, how many properties are actually applying revenue management and what type of properties they are. And you could see in here is that the 49% of the respondents are from the mid-sized service hotels, and 37% are from the large hotels, and was only 14% was from motels and B&B. I believe that this number needs to grow, because the large hotel companies have identified that there are ways to increase revenue performance by applying the right revenue management practices. And I believe that if you focus on, and there is a lot of material available online, go and read the information, try to apply that into your properties, look at your distribution channels, look at your rate parity, look at your online scores, and so on, and start putting them into perspective, because they all help growing your revenue, especially when the size of the pie is smaller. You have to work probably 3 times harder to get your share, to make sure that you are on top of it. There was a question asked in that survey that what are the biggest benefits anyone can expect to gain with revenue management, and 97% of those respondents said that it will increase hotel revenues and profits. So which is a pretty big number if you think about it, that 97 out of 100 people said actually it does work. So I highly encourage you guys to go back, do your research in your spare time, have a look at things that what else can you do, what can you do in terms of, you know, what some of the experts are saying. I mean, there are a lot of resources. Even if you go on some websites like hotelmarketing.com, for example, that covers quite a lot about revenue management. Even there are a lot of papers written by some scholars around that from Cornell University, for example, that you can do some reading in your spare time and see how can you actually apply that into your business to improve your performance. So from the revenue management perspective, these are some of my recommendations that I have tried to put together out of my experience and what I see and what I hear from people and what I have learned. So first of all, create a revenue management strategy in your business. You have to make sure that what is your plan. Abraham Lincoln said it's best is to fail to plan than plan to fail. So if you have a plan, you know exactly where you're heading. And also you have to look at the revenue management is not just selling rooms. Just remember that you have other staff in your business. You may have a small cafe, you may have a small restaurant, you might be selling some chips and chocolates in your rooms, or charging for a coffee or a water bottle or anything of that sort. Just make sure that you are instilling a revenue management culture within your business. Your staff are fully aware of it. Can you do something? For example, could that be something as simple as sourcing some breakfast boxes that I think Health Pack supplies that from Auckland, sourcing some breakfast boxes, continental breakfast boxes, and try to upsell them through reception. Even if you're making $4 or $5 out of one breakfast box, if you sell 10 of them, you have made extra $50, which you didn't have. So try to innovate a little bit. Look at some of the opportunities out there and how can you actually optimize that. The third one is the switching to flexibility. I mean, flexibility has become a big slogan by a lot of OTAs, especially at the moment. They like to have as much flexibility as possible. But the reality is that that's true, whether we like it or not. I personally never have liked flexible rates too much, but there is a market out there who are looking for flexibility. Now, how flexibility works is that don't just go by a dollar value, for example, that, okay, you pay extra $5 or $10 and you get a flexible rate. Put a big margin there. Make people pay extra 15% or even 20% to be able to buy the flexible rate, but lock them in a way that inside 48 hours, you still are able to charge at least for the first night in case if they cancel at that point of time. You have to look at it as flexible, right? As if somebody's paying, say, if people are paying 15 or 20% more, there are a lot of people out there who, including myself, when I look for accommodation to travel with my family, I might not even know what the situation would be for coronavirus in New Zealand 1 month later. And as a result of that, I would rather pay extra $30 to buy a flexible rate in case if I can't travel for whatever reason that might be, then I am able to cancel it. But the statistics say that nearly 80 to 90% people who book on flexible rate do travel. And if you think about it, if you are getting 15 to 20% more on the rate from those people, you add 5 of them together, you actually have just basically sold 1 extra room without actually selling a room. So make sure that you do look at this one very closely and then do offer some flexibility in your terms and conditions and your rates, but not on your prepaid. Remember, your prepaid rate is your restricted rate. What they say is that if you have to discount something, you have to fence it. So your fence is basically prepayment. You can't cancel. You must pay on at the time of booking and so on. So that's how you build a fence around it to lock people in. I mean, airline is a classic example, and I'm sure that we all have bought airline tickets when we go and try to cancel and they don't give you the money back because you bought on on a prepaid rate. Whereas flexibility is absolutely fantastic. I always buy flexible rate myself when I used to travel, or still travel sometimes, because that gives me a lot of flexibility. In case if my meeting finishes early, I can go to the airport and catch the first flight available. Or in case if my meeting gets delayed, I could delay it by a few hours. We all do that. And we have to try to apply that into our lodging businesses as well. Check your pricing structure. Make sure that your pricing structure is right. Your upgrade fee by different room types, you can have a really good look at it. A lot of properties I have seen that, for example, they may have a studio and then they may have a 1-bedroom apartment and a 2-bedroom apartment after that. They just look at the studio price and compare that with the rest of the competition and just go with that. But remember that, for example, if you have a 2-bedroom apartment or 2-bedroom unit in your property, there are specific people looking for those 2-bedroom units. When I'm going with my family, with my 2 kids, I'm always looking for 2-bedroom apartment. I don't care what the studio rate might be. So you have to make sure that you do your market research, look at your competition to see what are they charging for the 2 bedrooms, and you price yourself accordingly to make sure that you are actually getting the conversion. It's very important on that. So don't just look at your lead-in room type. Look at how much is your upgrade fee, how much is the upgrade fee for your competition for your higher room types, and then try to work your pricing backwards to ensure that you are in the market for that. For example, when anybody go online and then try to search a property, like if I search it with my 2 boys and me and my wife traveling, I will always go and put 2 adults and 2 children and search that way. And the only prices I see are for basically 4 people. Get used to more cancellations. That is the reality of life, and work with it gracefully. I mean, people are canceling, be sympathetic about it, but also try to do it in a way that people, you create an opportunity out of that cancellation. So when somebody cancels and there is a personal interaction that may go on, you invite them to come back on another date. Maybe try to hold their booking and amend the date to a future, because they may travel over that time. If they still want to cancel, that's fine, but finish on a good terms so that when they are interested to travel at a later date, you will be the first one they will contact. Extend your distribution periods. I've seen a lot of properties who basically would only focus on putting the rooms out for the next 3 months. Put out for longer, put it out for at least 12 months, making sure that you have plenty of availability out there in the market. I also have seen properties who always say that, oh, Christmas and New Year is very busy in my property, let's close everything. Actually, that's not right. Open it, but put the right rate there. If somebody wants to book early, it's not a problem. Sell your rooms early so that when you have limited inventory left, you can manage it better. Don't rely on the last minute demand, especially with the current situation. Also look at your restrictions. Look at if you want to sell over the New Year's Eve, for example, which is a very busy time for most properties, make sure that you are locking people in with the prepayments, but at the right price. Closing the property over any specific period of time is almost like shutting your shop door and say, please don't come inside. Make people book, make yourself available. Also very important, I saw there was a chart that Romeo was showing earlier, which had a whole big distribution model of various STAAH feeds into it. That is actually very important. Review your integration list. Look at any other channel that you may not currently be connected to, and how can you connect. It's almost like I look at an example of a shop, a normal shop. Say you're selling few items. If you have just a few products sitting in the shelf, you will have less sales. But if you have a lot of products sitting in your shelf, you will sell more. So that's exactly how it goes with your list of websites, the other platforms that where you can display yourself. Because you may only get 1 or 2 or 3 bookings, but they all count at the end of the day. And with the automation these days, you don't have to do much once it's connected, because it will keep on displaying your property over time. and concentrate at your future guests. Make sure that that you are communicating with them, you are informing them that what are you doing in your property, especially at this COVID-19 time when hygiene has become a big thing. People don't want to see each other these days. They all want to have contactless as much as they can, and so on. Domestic markets, as Romeo was saying earlier, be where your guest is coming from. And obviously right now it is your domestic market. So if you have to do something around that, make sure you do it. If you want to understand your analytics, I'm sure there are a lot of analytics available at the back of your channel manager, the likes of STAAH, but jump into your booking.com Expedia. There is some really good information there that where are currently people coming from in your property and also in your competition. Use that information to create a strategy around that. Invest into automation. And technology plays a very big part at the moment in everything we do. How can you work not harder but smarter? Track and measure your progress. If you're doing anything, make sure there is a mechanism for you to be able to measure your success, that whether it's working or not. If it is working, continue doing that. If it is not working, scrap it out and move on to something else. But you should always have some kind of project running or some kind of a new task running that, okay, I'm going to try this. Let me see how this will work. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to stop this and we'll try something different. I certainly don't recommend that try 15 things at the same time, but at least you should have one little project running somewhere in the background that you know that, okay, I'm going to try this. I'll give you an example. A property, one of the properties I assist with, they sent me an email the other day saying that there is this website called motelsinnz.com. And then they also have another website called New Zealand tourguides.co.nz and New Zealand accommodation.com and those kind of places. And those people charge something like $400 or $500 a year to advertise your property. And out of my interest, I did a bit more research on that. And then when I asked those guys to give me some data around that property, that how many people actually landed on their page and clicked on the link to go on their main website, I was actually quite amazed that according to their website statistics, they were pushing at least about 30 to 50 clicks every month. At the expense of $500, we pay far more commission to booking.com and Expedia. This was a good proposition from that perspective, that, okay, this may be a little website and they're doing a lot of things in this space of Google and all those sorts of things, but hey, they are sending 30 to 50 people on your website who can actually make a booking without incurring any commission. So look at some of those opportunities. If something comes in front of you, ask the right questions, and ask for the analytics, ask for the data. And once they provide you the data, that actually helps you making the informed decision. I always, from the revenue management perspective, we always say, in hotels world, is that don't do anything if you can't measure it. So if you can measure it, do it. And the numbers are out there. The very last one is understanding your business. You know your business, nobody else knows better than you, but understand your converted business, that how are they converting, your source market, your feeder market. For example, up north is Auckland. Use the data, understand your prices, grow your direct business. That has become a big thing at the moment. Nobody should be paying that 15% commission. These are big numbers, especially when the size of the pie is smaller. Work even more harder to try to convert people directly to your property. And there are these couple of other terminologies that you may have heard of, you may not have. GOPA, which is your GOP, gross operating profit per available room. Make sure that you talk to your accountant and work out what is your gross operating profit per available room in the previous pre-COVID times, and measure that. How is it actually going right now? It will actually give you a lot of insight that will help you making some informed decisions about your property. And another terminology which has just started to come out now is LPAR. And LPAR is basically this. You calculate LPAR, which is basically labor per available room. I mean, labor is being one of the biggest or largest expense we have in our businesses. It is basically total labor cost over total number of available rooms over that specific period of time. What LPAR does is that it actually gives you a good perspective of your labor cost. I mean, we all know, for example, we just had the minimum wage went up. Our wages have been growing significantly over the last several years. Our rates have not been, unfortunately. And with this COVID-19, your rates have come further down. So it's very important for you to understand what is your labor cost per available room so you can control it better. And at the end of the day, look, I give this example to people sometimes, is that you can sell 10 rooms at $100 or 5 rooms at $200 and make the same amount of money. If you ask me, which one would you buy? I will say the second one, sell less rooms at a higher price, because then my labor cost and all those kind of things will be far lesser than why would I want to be a busy fool, for example, by selling a lot of rooms at a cheaper rate? But you only would know this by testing and by trying this and really analyzing the information as much as you can. And this is the area that I jump into quite a lot with with some of the properties that I assist with, that look at the profitability, the bottom lines, that how can we actually make the property work better and produce more profit, get some good healthy revenue, and decrease their expenses, and how can that be distributed to all the right channels, so basically increasing your display across the shops. The last one I have is I actually attended this very interesting webinar like this one, which was about the role of technology in hospitality recovery. And I had some people mainly from Europe and Americas. I've put their names on the top. You could see. So there are some, highly big experts in hotel management or the IT side of it. And some of the questions that was asked around those calls with them, you could see that when I was reading all of that, I actually saw there was a consistent theme that was running around between all of them. For example, the first one, the Shaso, which is who is the co-founder and president of Alice, which is one of the hotel groups, said that we have to reimagine the entire guest relationship to minimize the need for human touch. I mean, this is where the world is going. Just because we have the virus contained in New Zealand to when we are in a far better situation, and we are very lucky to be here, but the rest of the world is going absolutely crazy right now. People don't want to see each other, and it has become a new norm. Even right here, like if I walk into supermarket, I try to avoid getting close to people at the moment when I'm walking through the aisles, and that's the reality of life at the moment. The fabricant said that I believe contactless will be the new currency in the hospitality for a while. And these are becoming the new norms that, for example, are your FPOS machines contactable? Because I don't want to touch those pin pads now to enter my PIN number, because as soon as I do that, I want a hand sanitizer somewhere to clean my hands. So make sure that you are looking at some of those things to make people more comfortable around your property. Batra said that guests will be hesitant to go to hotels or use restaurants and bars for fear of surface virus, or as a result of conditioned social distancing. I mean, what are you doing around your property in terms of your hygiene practices, your cleanliness, your less human contacts, and so on? Make sure you tell people about it. Yeah, a lot of properties have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have other social media channels make sure that you are taking little pictures of things, whatever you're doing, or writing a little blurb and put it on Facebook. Take a picture of a hand sanitizer and put it on Instagram, because people do look at it, and that put them in the comfort zone that they are actually going to the right property, or it will make them book your property, because they will look at it and say, actually, you know what, these guys seems like they know what they're doing, so I'm going to rather stay there, and I will pay extra $50 to stay there. Smallwood said that hotels will need to make their strategy for containing the virus in rooms and common areas, and to reassure the guests that that they see that in all places in the property. Hotel check-in apps have been talked about in these forums quite a lot, but obviously that's a long shot. That the check-in apps can, there are a lot of factors that goes in the background. So, and again, Fabricant said in the end was that he wanted to reiterate again that one huge trend will be the contactless for the property. Can you bypass the terminal at the front desk, according to him, or whether you give the card to the front desk agent or insert it yourself into the terminal. So contactless is becoming a big thing now, and that does put people to ease, and also put your staff to ease as well. If you are the person running, standing at the reception, because I'm sure that you don't want to get close to other people as well. So as a result of that, actually, I have been talking with this company called checkinsystems.com.au. It's an Australian company, and they provide key lockers, and you could see in I've put some of the pictures there. They've got small key lockers for up to 10 or 15 keys and goes all the way up to 150 keys. What this does is you can hang your guest keys inside there, and you can program all the slots in there with the guest mobile number as a PIN code. So when people arrive, they just put the last 4 digits of their mobile on this device, and the key drops in this area. So you could see that different properties have done it in a different way. This property has put 2 different, because they had 2 different wings there, and they put a night phone above that. Basically, if anybody has a problem, they can pick up the phone, and if you have a person at the reception, you might as well just give them a mobile phone or a cordless phone or something like that, that they can be anywhere in the property. And if your guests are arriving at the property and they've already prepaid for the booking, they can simply pretty much go and enter their mobile number and get the key. And you can have a leaflet right behind them, right beside these units, which can tell them where to go and where what the property facilities and the features are. So this company also provide the self check-in kiosk, which is that last picture on the right hand side, which is basically the largest unit they have. And this one basically can pretty much check in anyone, including your walk-in. You can type your details, your last name or booking number on the digital screen on the top, and it has a payment gateway. People can pay for it by credit card. And once they have completed the entire check-in process, the key drops at the bottom slot. So I highly recommend that go onto their website called, it's called Check-in System, check-in as a CHECKINN.com.au. Really good people. And I believe that they have what is really needed in the industry at the moment. And the small units, I think, are fairly lower price. I think it starts for about $3,000 or something like that. So yeah, that's a little bit about how revenue management can help, and a bit of automation, and how can you actually succeed. And I'll pass it on to Roger to take it from there.
Thank you. I'll just share my screen. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about, just following on from Ali, was both the speakers have talked about increasing your revenue, getting more guests and things like that. What I'm going to be talking about is certainly how to present your property better when a guest arrives or prior to the guest arriving, and also making yourself more efficient so you can actually spend time on the business rather than looking for bits of paper and things like that. And then lastly, of course, is to look at how do you actually manage all this information that you're collecting. I did mention the importance of revenue and knowing where guests are coming from, where they're booking from, and so I'm going to go through some of the tools for that. So what I'm briefly going to do is to go through a few points, and now I'm going to take you through a PMS just to show you what the PMS can do. Now, some of you have our PMS, others don't, but they should work in similar ways. So really what I'm trying to do is to say the PMSs that are around, they've got a lot more features and functionality than people actually use. And so the more you can automate, use your PMS to manage your day-to-day property, then the better off you are and the more information you'll be able to get out of it. So really, in these times, you need to automate and minimize the overhead. You need to manage your tasks. Don't drop things. Don't rely on bits of paper to remind you of things. You should have them all in a centralized place. You need to create a professional image so that when guests arrive, you can check them in, check them out very easily, quickly email off an invoice, everything like that. If they lose their invoice, you should be able to just email another copy straight away to them. And of course, know where you are through your analysis and reports. So for automation, of course, you need a fully automated property management system with your channel manager. And the reason why I mention that is I've seen some PMSs where the reservation comes down and then you've got to move it from some holding bin and put it into a room. It really should be coming in and just appear on your reservation pad without anybody doing anything. Likewise, whenever you move anything on your reservation pad, it should be going straight back to the channel manager straight away, not waiting for a certain time or for you to click a button to tell the channel manager that your room allocation's changed. You need to be able to quickly drop on special rates, as Ali was saying, so that you can react to the market. You also mentioned packages, offering breakfasts and things like that to try and encourage guests during the week to make yourself stand out from other properties. And what you should be able to do in your PMS is to create these packages to support that marketing, and that will then automate the whole process for you. And I'll show you that in a second or two. And then, of course, it's not really automation, but searching and finding information in your PMS is really, really important. You do not want to spend so many hours a day looking for things. You should be able to find it quickly and easily. And of course, particularly when a guest is in front of you. You need to use your PMS to manage your whole property. So number of properties, they have sticky notes everywhere. They've got bits of paper with reminders on it. You need to get out of that. You need to use your PMS to manage your whole property. So all your staff, your cleaners, if you've got any catering staff or you've got any other staff such as that might be running a venue for you. I know some of you have got meeting rooms. So all of those people should be fully informed of your property, of what's happening. And we've had recently some customers come along and they've replaced both their PMS plus several spreadsheets where they had to keep different sets of information. In order to keep it all on one PMS has made everything centralized for them. So they can have reminders for, be it a service you're doing for a guest, maintenance, housekeeping, whatever. To present the professional image, you need to produce professional, attractive emails to guests. They should contain nice things like links to Google Maps and images, logos, all that sort of stuff. And they should email out exactly the way they're designed. Some systems might print them nicely, but when they email them out as plain text. They should go out exactly as they've been designed. You can say, create thanks for staying emails and then include your marketing in that. So in other words, if a guest leaves, email them a thanks for staying, attach the invoice to it perhaps, but include in that what's happening in your area in the next few months to try and get into book. And of course, all your documentation should have your own booking website. You should always be promoting book through your direct website. And the more you can get that in front of customers on every document you've got, the more chance there are that they'll click on it and go straight to your website. And it shouldn't just be text, there should be a link to your website. So whenever someone looks at your email, they say, okay, I need to book there again, they'll click on the link on your email rather than searching for your property and then maybe end up on another OTA. And of course, you can improve your image at reception by quickly checking in, checking out and finding things for guests. You need to control your business by easily tracking reservations and cancellations, and cancellations, as I mentioned, become very, very important now. You need to be able to get detailed summary statistics so you know why guests have arrived. Is it business? Is it pleasure? Tourism? Are they international? Are they domestic? Come from the North Island? Did they come from the South Island? And so forth. If you collect all that information, including did they book direct? Did they book through booking.com? Were they walk-ins? Collecting all that information means that you can then make those decisions, which then feeds back into the concepts that Ali was talking about. And of course, you should be able to easily look up a guest history and control your PMS by looking into who can do what on it, controlling who can manage reservations, who can access credit cards, who can change things, and logging everything that happens so that you are protected in case you have a problem, and that you make sure that your staff get to see the part of the business that you want and don't get to see your financials, for example. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just go through some of these points. I did mention packages. You should be able to create a package that will support what you do. So, for example, if we look here, we have a standard invoice and it's going to add on accommodation each night. Now, if, for example, you are offering a package with breakfast, free Wi-Fi, whatever, you maybe if you're in the Bay of Islands, you might include a trip to the Cape or something like that. You can create packages for those. And for example, I'll change my standard package here to one of my different packages. So an example would be a bridal package because it's got a lot of different things on it. Now immediately, if I go back to my invoice, it's automated my whole system for me. It's put on all the items that are required for the first night on my package. And if I increase my number of nights, it just keeps on adding on. So you can use packages to be quite clever, to just save you time and to automatically post on things that you're offering. So if we save that, we've now got that package. Using your PMS to communicate, that is one thing that doesn't happen a lot, but once people get into it, they find a huge benefit from it. And for example, on this particular system, we have one of them is the today's task, where it can bring up tasks that you've assigned. You may have assigned them weeks and months ago, but you said, I want them to appear on the 1st of July, and here they are. So for example, we've got a meeting room, so all the entries from Napier Rotary on conference room number 2 is setting it up and other reminders. There may be a lot more, but these are just the items I want to appear on my task list. I've got a note here. We've been told there's a problem with the bedside lamp in the room. So again, it's a reminder, and that will appear on the task list for someone for that day as well. if it's printed out, or if they've got a tablet, say a Windows tablet, they can see it on the tablet as they're moving around the property. I've got to follow up a reservation. Maybe I need to get a credit card for an unconfirmed reservation. I need to follow up a quote I've got here, and you may not offer this, but it'll be something you offer that's similar. We've got to pick up from an airport. So whatever you need to do to either for a guest, for a reservation, or a reminder to your housekeeping staff, or to maintenance, or whatever, you can put it in the system. It keeps it all in one place for you, and then it appears on the day when it's required. Now, this is really important. This just, in the properties that use this, they just do away with bits of notes. Some have done away with spreadsheets, as I've said. But the sticky notes really should go. It's not a good look in the reception anyway. All right, emails. We should produce nice looking emails. Now, in this particular system, you can create any number of document templates and then use them for whatever function you want, be it pre-arrival, post-arrival, during stay, whatever. So for example, your confirmation, nice and attractive, should have a link directly into Google Maps. So if someone's driving to your property, they can tap on that and they get the driving instructions right to your front door. It should always be there. And of course, information about your property as well, on things like, I mentioned earlier, thanks for staying. When a guest leaves, send them a thanks for staying. And in fact, rather than printing out an invoice, attach an invoice to this. It's going to save you money, and then you can use it for your marketing. In here, you would have all your upcoming events. So you're trying to attract the guest back to the property for special weekends or whatever. If you've got any specials coming up, have it noted here. And as always, on all documents, push your own website. Make sure that you're constantly pushing the website, and not just text, but if you click on that, it'll go straight to your website, so they can make the booking directly with you rather than through an agent. And of course, you can improve your service to guests by enabling quick check-in, quick check-out, things like that. So for example, if this person was checking out, I could email them and maybe their contact or people within the company. I could send them a thanks for staying. I can attach a guest invoice, and I can email it just like that. So that is very, very quick, and that's the sort of thing you need to be focusing on when guests are going to be checking out. Just have everything ready, and bang, you can email it straight away. And from a guest point of view, actually, if you're doing a lot of traveling, someone who travels for business, it's a real nuisance if you're traveling quite a lot to end up with a great pile of invoices. Preferable to get them emailed, less likely to get lost. Right, we need to track things. Now what we've got is the ability to track a lot more. Modern PMSs should be gathering a lot more information for you. Some of it automatic, some you may have to put in, such as why are they staying, things like that. But once you have that and start gathering it, you can then start to make these decisions that Ali's been talking about. And remember, by doing it from your PMS, you're getting all your data. It's your direct bookings as well as all your OTAs and everything. So here, for example, on this report, we can see where the reservations that we've received and the value of them, and the percentage of reservations that came in. We can see the arrival month. So for this given period of this report, we can see that we've even taken bookings up to May 2021. So here's the income for those months that we've just taken within this period. We're also now including cancellations, as said earlier, now very important. So we can see cancellations by source, cancellations by arrival month. Again, very, very useful to see how much are we losing in the future. And then the next page, reservations received by country. Well, typically at the moment, it's just going to be New Zealand. By room type, by reservation group, that is pre-check-in, checked out, checked in and cancelled, and by guest type. This particular property just says everyone is guests, so you've only got one thing. Now, this next chart, the third page, is very important. This allows you to look at the bookings that you've taken for a given date and the value of those bookings for the month that it's due to arrive. So for example, within this period, we took 6,000 in May, 15,900 bookings for June, 3,740 for July, and even 748 for May 2021. Now, balance that out with the cancellations that we received during this period for those months, and here we have it. So for example, August, we've got no new cancellations coming in, but we did have no new reservations coming in, but we did have $617 worth of cancellations, and more cancellations in October than we did new bookings. And then overall, your net booking change for those different months with your totals here. So this type of graph or chart has a lot of information, and if you look at it, you can really see what business did we take, say, in the last week, in the last month, and how is it spread over the coming months. You can also, on the PMS, you need to look at your reservation value and compare months and years, just like on the earlier charts that Alia showed for the entire country. This is just for you. So you can see here in 2018, 2019, 2020. This is actually from a live property doing quite well. But you can see here, you can see each month for each year, your income. And occupancy, you've got your percentage occupancy, 2018, 2019, 2020, and a continuous growth curve up until June 2020. And then statistics for each month after per year. So you got your occupancy, your room night, your reservations, average room. All of this sort of stuff is important to understanding where your guests are coming from, what you're making from them, and so on. And as I said, are you sacrificing income for occupancy? You need to balance that up. Right, the other thing that you need to be able to do, of course, is be able to look up stuff easily. So you need to be able to track guests and so forth. So with a given reservation, you should be able to look at a complete history of a guest, of a reservation, sorry, and of a guest. You bring up the guest, look at the history, and see all of their reservations that they've had with you. So it all has to be quick and easy to actually use. But by combining all of these things together, you can start to use the advanced features of your property management system. Just so many places use it as a place to dump bookings in, print invoices out, and that's it. But your PMS should have a lot more features than you're probably using, and the more you can start to use these features, the better off you'll be. You're really starting to use it properly. You know, 20 years ago, it was okay to put in a reservation, check someone in, check someone out, print out an invoice, and maybe produce a summary report each month or something. Now, as the other two speakers have said, more important to manage properly your income, know where your revenue is coming from, know where your guests are coming from, and taking that a step further, managing your property fully so that you are really in control of everything. Okay, that's pretty much my thing there. Romeo?
Thank you, Roger. So I'm just going to, we've had a couple of people drop off, which is fine, but I'm just going to sort of just unmute everyone that's there, and love to hear anyone has any questions, anyone want to ask anything. Either you can do it through the chat or unmute yourself and ask away. I think we'll probably just sort of give that about 10 minutes or so. So if you have any questions, anything you want to either have me answer for you, Ali or Roger, ask away.
Did you unmute them there?
Right, so yeah, if no one has any questions, we'll sort of wrap it up. So yeah, so if you want to reach out to me post the seminar, there's my details just up on the screen there. Feel free to reach out to me for a chat. So there's my email there, as well as my phone number to reach me on. I'm also available through, if you have connected with me either on LinkedIn or through Facebook, happy to chat with you on there as well, if you can't get me on the phone. So yeah, ensure to follow us on our blogs and social media. We do put out a lot of blogs, especially at this time. Things that can help properties, things around your booking engine, things making sure that your website's up to date and optimized so you can really drive to those direct bookings. We also have a free ebook, so head to our blog page. You'll be able to download there, which is our free ebook on revenue management. So do download that. That's completely free and available to anyone. Happy for you to also share that with anyone that you might know that might have not been on today's seminar. And that's it pretty much. We would like to thank you for joining. And I just see here there is, awesome. Thanks, Karen. It was really great having you on today. And it was good that you found this helpful. But yeah, looking forward to chatting to you or being in touch with you in the next coming few days if you have any questions for us. Again, thanks, Ali, and thanks, Roger, for joining. It was really great having you along as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Romeo, for organizing this. I think it was great catching up.
I appreciate that. That's brilliant.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.